Question for confidence intervals. Let's take a look at this one together. So we've got a pharmaceutical company that's making tranquilizers. We assume that the distribution of the length of time is approximately normal. That's important because we'll see in a moment. Researchers in a hospital use the drug on a random sample of 9 patients. This is why it's important. Since the population is random, is normal, we can use less than 30 and we'll for our sample, and we'll be okay. Effective period of the tranquilizers for the patients is as follows. So you could enter this in as your data. I went ahead and did that just to make this a little easier, because on the test we'll give you this stuff. The n is equal to 9. Sample mean is 2.51. Let's just calculate it, and the sample standard deviation is 0.318. We're asked to construct a 95% confidence interval for the population mean length of time. So as we come here, we remember we're going to inferences, and in this case we're using intervals, not tests. Okay, and then when we come to intervals, we have 2 choices. One is proportion. If it's a percentage, well, we don't have a percentage. This is actually the mean that we're looking for, right? So we're looking for one mean. Now the choice is, do we do a t interval or a z interval? This one, the standard deviation that's given to us comes from the sample. That tells us to use a t interval. So what kind of inference distribution did we use? We used a t interval. And we take that right from the calculator itself. It's telling a t interval. Why did we use it? Because Little Crow said to, right? Well, because the standard deviation, and it's okay if you, I'd like to abbreviate standard deviation just as SD. The standard deviation comes from a sample. Now if it came from a population, if we had a population standard deviation, we would have used a z interval, but it didn't, so we used this one. So that's one choice. And now the rest is pretty straightforward. We come back to the calculator. We're going to do a t interval. We input our statistics rather than using the data set. The mean we're given is 2.51. Standard deviation we're given is actually pretty close to what's in there, 0.318 from the last example I did, I guess. Sample size is 9. And our confidence interval that we're looking for is 95%, which is what's already there, so we could just accept that as the default. And now we got all our information. We've got a t critical. They didn't ask for any of this. The standard error, they didn't ask for it. The margin of error, they didn't ask for it, but we'll see where it goes. We've got our degrees of freedom. We go to next. And here's where all the information that we need. We're first asked to state your confidence interval with the plus or minus margin of error. That's this bottom one right here. So we're just going to enter in 2.51. Notice that's the mean that came from the sample. That's always going to be the case. And then we have our margin of error here, which is 0.24. They don't say how many units. These are 1 decimal place. Typically the margin of error use 1 extra decimal place, so we'll go with 2 decimal places. Yeah, let's do that. And since the mean we have is 2 decimal places, let's stick with that. So this is added and subtracted, and that's how you get this confidence interval down here. So we'll go with 2.27 rounded to 2 decimal places, right? The 6 gets rounded up because of the 5. And then it goes to 2.75. The 5 stays a 5, or rounded down because it's got a 4 next to it. So 2.75. State your confidence interval using the normal distribution curve. So here it is, and what that is telling us as far as a normal distribution. Here's our t critical value here at 95%. Because it's using a T table instead of a Z table, so it's a little bit off there. So let's do this. Let's go next. How this is going to look, our mean is going to be 2.51, and our margin of error is added and subtracted, so we get down to 2.27 and 2.75. And we'll take that this area here is 95%. That's our 95% confidence interval. Okay, so that's what we're saying we end up with. Explain in one sentence what this confidence interval means. I always like to use we because we're usually researchers as group. We are 95% sure, certain, confident. Any of those words would do. 95% sure that the tranquilizer, because that's so that's where we come back to the story. What were we talking about? Oh, we're making tranquilizers, and they're researching the effective period, that the tranquilizer is effective for 2.27 to 2.75 hours on average. So that the mean will be between here for whichever sample we took. Something like that. That'll do it. That's what we're doing. We're 95% that the effectiveness, the average effectiveness would be in this range. Okay, so that's that question. We're going to stop this video, and I'll do the next one on a fresh video. Thanks.